Hey, welcome to the Next Step podcast, where our mission is to help people to take their next step in their journey with Christ by loving Jesus, becoming like Jesus, and sharing it with others. And so we like to talk about steps that people are taking. Today, our guests are Jay and Baylee.
Yes.
How's cool? I want to make sure I get that right.
Yes, that's
And
correct.
they've been together. How many years together?
Um,
Completely, not just how many years
this will
married.
be our 4th year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And been married about a year and a half,
Yes.
2 years. Fantastic. Well, welcome to the Next Step podcast. And so tell us kind of who you are, where you came from, kind of where you start with us if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, I'm from Virginia, and
Which part?
so I was born in Lynchburg,
Okay.
actually. Yeah, right where LU is, in
Yeah.
the hospital there. And I moved down to Charlotte in 2005 when my parents got married.
Okay.
And then I've just been here ever since.
Fantastic.
Ever since. So,
Which part of Charlotte did you live in?
we grew up in Harrisburg.
Okay.
Yeah. And then around 18, I moved over to Concord, and now I'm here because we moved in together. So,
Right.
Fantastic.
yeah.
Fantastic. And tell us, you're not from Concord or you're
Yeah.
Virginia. Where are you
Not
from?
from America at all.
Good deal.
So I moved here 2015.
Okay.
Straight from Vietnam, and we got here right on July 4th.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I
we're
always
just
forget about that.
How
shooting
cool.
fireworks, and then the neighbor just yelling at you.
You're like, what are they doing?
Right, yeah. But I know, it was great because I can't imagine like the two cultures, and I remember the first day, just like the first day in America, I was like, I can't believe I'm here. Like, it's a huge deal for us to like, just go into like different country and like America specifically because it's a great country. And
So did you have to escape on a boat? Did you leave on a plane? How did you get out
no,
of Vietnam?
we had the privilege of coming here legally.
Oh,
So,
good.
so we did with everything
It started a long
by
time
paper.
ago, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it started in the year 2000.
2000.
He was
and then we
born.
had to wait 15 years.
15
So
years.
you did it the right way.
Yeah.
Went through the
So-
paperwork, and by 2015, you were flying in
It's
here
time.
as citizens.
Not citizen.
Citizenship.
Green card holder.
Green card holders.
Yeah.
So citizenship comes after what? How many years do you have to wait?
I think you have to live in the States for 5 years or so. I forgot, but yeah, it's about that. And then you go apply and then do the testing and all that stuff to get your citizenship. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, recently his dad got citizenship this
Yeah.
past month, so that
Fantastic.
was awesome.
So did he come over before you did, or did he come over at the same time?
We came together.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. It was my parents and then me. My sister got married over there, so she just kind of doing her own thing.
Okay.
She was supposed to come with us, but
Right. But she's still
she
living in
chose
Vietnam.
Yeah. So she has her family, and so just my parents and I, and then we have her little brother that was born here, and he's 6, going 7.
Yeah.
What's your little brother's name?
Evan,
And your sister's name?
Quinn.
Quinn. Okay. So when people in America think Vietnam, they think war.
Right.
But the truth is that, from what I understand, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. A lot of people
yeah.
go there to vacation, or they go there. A flight attendant, actually, that I did the waiting for several years ago, she chose, of all the places in the world she wanted to go, to Vietnam and the beaches and the
Oh, yeah,
Vietnam.
yeah.
It's a pretty
So
place.
we live right underneath the mountain, so it's very touristy, and like every season it's just buses and everything just come through for the mountains.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really
Beautiful
cool.
town.
So you came 2015. You were born into America, then you came to Charlotte. And so how did you guys meet?
Well, we actually met at a restaurant, and they're
Okay.
gonna love that we're talking about this right now.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
So we met at a Filipino restaurant over in UNCC,
Okay.
that area over there, and I was a server there for a couple of years, and he started off doing dishes there,
Okay.
Washing dishes.
and then he eventually moved over to a line cook. But how it happened was I was dating someone else for a long time,
Okay.
and then we broke up, and then he was playing music that I loved and while doing the dishes.
Okay.
And so I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I love this song." And then it kind of turned into a game where he would like try and play songs that he thought that I liked. And then
To get her
I know.
attention.
Cool. Do you remember the song?
Yeah,
What was it?
Well, there was one song. We're really big into like indie music and
Okay.
stuff.
Folksy stuff.
Yeah, so just like folksy music, but one in particular, he was playing "Bloom" by the Paper Kites, and
best.
it's just the prettiest song. And I was listening to it when I was, in my teens, and yeah, that was one song. And then it's funny when he asked me if I was single and looking to date somebody. I was actually trying to see if I would date his one friend,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
and then we ended up dating.
You're playing Cupid, and
Right,
then
it was
Cupid
like-
played with you.
We're just trying to help, and we just end up liking each other, and then
Yeah.
it goes from there.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
So tell us about your path, what you're studying to do, or the kind of things that you're doing right now, those kind of things.
Yeah, so I'm in school with UNCC. It's a 6 months program for cybersecurity stuff.
Cool.
And I wasn't gonna do cybersecurity at the beginning. I was gonna do some online marketing, digital marketing stuff, but then I put my name down, bought the intro course and everything, and then they were just like, we can't do this right now, so they offer a different program, which is cybersecurity, and I was like, oh, why not? I'll give it a try. And then initially it was with NC State, and we were supposed to have a call, but I just kept waiting, and I didn't get any call, and I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I just put down with UNCC instead. And 2 minutes after, I got a call from them, and we just set up everything, and everything went from there.
Cool.
And now I'm with them, and I'll be done in two weeks.
Excellent. So you got kind of a job lined up in that field, or are you interested in some kind of job in the field of cybersecurity?
Right. I think you have to take the little certificate like Security Plus. I'm sure you're familiar with
Okay.
that kind of stuff. But I think that's what jobs are looking for right now. They're just the little
Mhm.
certificates.
Mhm.
But with the school, they're gonna offer you like a general cybersecurity completion
Degree.
boot camp.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I should be looking for jobs right now. But I just have a lot of things going on, so I'm just taking
Every time I look at my phone, I'm grateful for people like you that know enough about cybersecurity and how to keep my phone safe and to make sure that do all the updates
Yeah.
and stuff so it would work right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Baylee?
Well, I was homeschooled and I ended up doing early college.
Okay.
And so I got most of it done. I literally had one semester left.
Okay.
And then I ended up when I moved out from my parents, I had one full semester and like everything was just it was all over the place. I was working a lot of jobs trying to like keep my head above water cuz it was just you're 18 and you're learning how to make money and be on your own for the
Yeah.
first time. It's really hard to manage everything.
Yeah.
So I just dropped out actually.
Okay.
But in about I think 2020, when COVID happened, I felt really like it was time for me to go back and finish up my degree. And it was just an associate's, like it wasn't anything very serious. So I finished that up, and I've been kind of lazy. I really haven't looked into doing anything since.
Okay.
I'm not so sure if I'm interested in a college degree so much as I am learning like a skill that I
Mhm.
can like apply to, something that'll make money long term.
Right.
But then I'm not sure if I even want to work. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
I think a really wonderful thing for me and for our future family would be for me to be, a stay-at-home mom and homeschool my kids or our kids like my mom did.
Cool.
And so I really, I still am like, I just don't know where my life is going to lead me, but I'm just going to leave that up to God because I just have no idea. So, but
What's
I'm not going to worry about
cool
it.
to me though is that you've used the skills you have learned
Yeah.
to help make a difference in the world, and it's the way you met one another, and you're kind of making your own path together, right?
We're trying, yeah. But it's fun, when you have good company and you have a good
Yeah.
person that you really love, like, it makes not knowing a little bit easier, so.
Well, and early on in your marriage too, it's like, what are we going to do? It's not like what it used to be years and years ago where somebody would go get a job at the company and work there for 30 or 40 years and then retire and then go do whatever. And these days, this is totally different, right?
We got married at 21 too, so we really are just like, don't have anything really established quite yet. So we're doing that together, and that's really
You were
fun.
barely legal when you got married, right?
Just
We're really young.
go to a bar and grab a drink.
We still are.
Pretty much it.
That was funny.
That's it. Yeah.
That's cool. So it's interesting now, you both kind of work in the service industry.
Yeah.
So tell us about your jobs now and what you do.
Right now I'm just working for Starbucks.
Cool.
I'm not a big fan of the company, but
Okay.
it's flexible hours. I can go to work and then do other things on the side, and they're willing to work with my schedule. But my goal is to finish up the school and then look for a new job, eventually, move on to better
Transition.
things and
Sure. But you
start
figured out
start
how to make
building
it
a
work for right
family.
now.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
just one step at a time.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And what are you doing now?
Well, I work up in Charlotte at Undercurrent,
Okay.
and I've been
An undercurrent, for those people that don't know, is like a coffee shop.
yes,
Like a
yes,
su-
it's
like a
really
Uh,
pretentious
type-
coffee shop.
okay, like a cool Starbucks,
Yeah.
a cooler Starbucks. Okay.
Starbucks.
Right.
But I love my job, and I've grown a lot in the company. So I started out just as a barista, and then I moved up to um, a shift lead there. And then the person who is overseeing the shop, he's going to Italy this month to
Okay.
study abroad. So I'll be the shop lead for a month. But then they also asked if I would take over full time once he comes back because he's stepping down. So that location is going to be under me from now on.
Wow.
Yeah, so I
So
get
you're the cool, pretentious coffee house manager.
I,
I like it.
but I love it though, because like I love people. I love
Mhm.
talking to people. I love my job, what I do, and I love being in charge. And
Yeah.
so it's just like a combination of all those things put together.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's great. It's a wonderful opportunity.
So I think there's a point that really needs to be made here that you both illustrate beautifully. Not everybody needs to follow the old path of going to get a 4-year degree from somewhere. You might be broke, in debt, or you might have a degree. It's not something that
Yeah.
you're really interested in, and you're putting practical skills to life.
Yeah.
And you figure out a cybersecurity program. You become somebody that's great at being a barista. Then now you become a manager. You become a lead.
Business.
So essentially, you're learning in
Eventually.
the school of reality, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes, and I'm a college professor, so I teach stuff like that and have advanced degrees. And I love learning, but college and going to college for 4 years is not for everybody, or 6
Right.
years, or 8 years, or whatever. So you guys are figuring it out on your own.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Doing our best.
So you have really interesting stories. So Pastor Brad, who's with us in the room today,
Yeah.
shout out to Brad, who's in the back.
Hey,
Thank you,
Brad.
Brad, for being here. Began talking with you because you became interested in the life of our church. You've been attending about a year or so, is that right?
Yeah.
And
We've
you-
been here since April last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what attracted you the first time to come to our church? What's it
Um,
about?
Well, it's funny. I was complaining to my mom actually,
Okay.
and this was when she lived in Harrisburg still. And they've moved since, but I was complaining to her, and I was like, I don't really know any churches in the area that are actually teaching like biblically based doctrine. That and there's just nobody sugarcoats anything. It's just straight up the word, and there's no fluff. And I really was complaining about that. And my mom was like, "Well, let me. Where do you live?" And so she like looks at my address,
Okay.
and the Point Church was the first church that popped up.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was,
Thank you, Google search.
know. And so I was looking at the page, and I just felt so drawn to it, and I was like, "That's so interesting." And so we started really going in April. But I wasn't too. I was not as disciplined in going every Sunday, and I was still working and being pretty lax with my hours. But in September, he and I really were just like a switch flipped in us, and we're like, we need to start really committing to this.
Cool.
So we started going full time in September, and we didn't really have time for like small groups and stuff, but we were going every single Sunday together. And then in January, I did the app,
Mm-hmm.
and I went
To the membership class.
exactly.
right?
So I went through that, and then Brad reached out to me. But what's funny is when he reached out to me, we were on our honeymoon.
Okay.
In Hawaii. It was a very belated honeymoon. And life happens, and
Yeah,
then
sure.
3
Where were
months
you
go
on
by.
your honeymoon? Where'd you go?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Nice. Fantastic.
It was
Halfway
phenomenal.
home.
This,
Right?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I could just fly to home.
That's right.
It
That's
was
cool.
amazing.
How cool is that?
It was so wonderful.
It's beautiful.
But when I got back, we kind of just, again, life happened. And maybe about 2 months later, I spotted Brad, and I was like, "You, come here." And I was like, I finally, we went out to lunch with somebody, I think.
Courtney. Okay.
Yeah. And I just was like, I want to be part of this church. And so it's been like that ever since. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
So a lot of times people that are my age or older will actually take the initiative to try to put down people your age or around your age, but you guys, here's what I see. You demonstrate a great work ethic. Whatever it is that you're doing, you jump in and you do it full bore. You have a great relationship with one another. You have a great relationship with God and a committed relationship to God. And you're wanting to increase your commitment by saying, I want to be part of being connected
Yeah.
with this body of believers and that kind of stuff, which is, I mean, to me, that's just like music to my ear. I just love it because we don't want to just be that place where people come, watch the show, and go.
Right.
Right.
We want people to meet people, to know your name and where you come from and what you do and what keeps you awake at night and what your hopes and dreams are and all those kinds of things. So that's very gratifying to hear that. So you wanted to get connected.
Yes.
And then you had this interesting conversation with Brad about how to get connected. You said you could not do small groups, right? Because of your work schedule. So what did you and Brad concoct together?
Well,
He's always concocting, by the way.
well, I put together, I really don't know quite how to phrase it because I didn't put together the coffee ministry. It was already a thing.
Yeah.
But I think that I have helped kind of expand it.
Yes, you
in a
have.
sense. I don't want to take too much credit because there are people who came way before me who were doing all this stuff.
Yeah, but you're the
before I
catalyst. You're the catalyst to help take it to the next level.
Basically, I wasn't told no, is what happened, which was awesome. And so, we've got an espresso machine and a functioning coffee bar right now, and it's been so much fun. And I just was like, I want to be able, now that I'm here, I want to meet people. I want to know people's names. I want people to know my name. I want to be plugged into a community of people because, growing up, I was a part of a church where, I knew everybody. And then when we ended up leaving that church, it felt like, you
Big
don't
void.
belong anywhere anymore. And so I was like, no, I want to feel like I belong in the church that I'm a part of. And what better way to do that than to plug in and like start something and get people excited about stuff, So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So I don't know if you've heard this history before, but first of all, Brad was a volunteer before he was a pastor, and he was a volunteer pastor at the church plant that we kind of helped to assist to get off the ground in some ways and that kind of stuff. And one day he came up to me and he said, gosh, and this was 7-8 years ago, we had to start a coffee ministry because people just love coffee and they love hanging out. So he was really that first catalyst for getting that started with
Right.
Andy Berry and a team of other people. And it really took off. And then obviously in the midst of COVID, the world shuts down. You can't go sit in Starbucks for years, right? It's only been until recently where the local Belmont, you can go back inside, right? So coming through this process and being able to actually meet back together again. So Brad decided we're going to really kind of light coffee ministry up again. We want to make it something that's really powerful, and let's put it down the end of the ramp to make it something that people's first thing they see.
Yes.
And right at that time, you intersect
I know.
the world in which we're kind of considering.
It's really weird timing, honestly, because I was praying about the same thing too. And then to just have somebody who was listening to my ideas and like facilitating everything, I just was like, whoa, this feels like a prayer, coming true right before my eyes. And like, I was just like, I don't really get told yes by God a lot.
Yeah.
I'm usually told to wait or just no.
Okay.
And so all of this was just yes. And I was like, holy moly, like this is just
the right, perfect time.
It's just perfect timing. Yeah.
So that's cool. I can tell that you thought deeply about your faith because you said God answers in 3 kinds of ways. You went through
Yes,
fast. What are they?
and
Yes, no, and wait.
that was something I've been listening to. My grandfather, he had told me that for my entire life, and I just was like, before I really knew the importance of prayer, I
Right.
just was like, I don't even know what that means. Like okay. And then as I get older, and I'm gonna be 23 this year, I'm like, wow, it is so significant. It's yes, no, and wait. And so many times people get so angry about there being only 3 responses.
Yeah.
But I found that there's so much power in those 3 responses because no matter what,
So cool.
it's absolutely right for your life. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah. So thank God for the unanswered prayers, as the old country song goes on, right?
Yes.
Or the no's or the waits and not yets.
Yes. Yeah.
So your grandfather, what's his name?
His name was Robert, but he went by Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Bob already in heaven?
Yes, I'm gonna cry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can cry. It's perfectly Bob.
I'm sorry.
Here's what I want you to do. I was going to say, Bob, if you're living on this side, she got that lesson. But Bob, she got it. And thank God that she's sharing it with other people in this generation too.
I'm sorry. I'm so emotional now.
That's no problem. No problem. Thank you for the emotion because that just shows us it's real.
Oh yeah.
One of our core values at the point is authenticity. And we want to be a place
You're-
where, oh, that's good. Absolutely. Whether it's tears or laughter
Oh,
or
yeah.
anger or whatever, because we want to be those people that are authentic. So thanks for sharing that with us. I think it's interesting. Years ago, I read a book by Anne Lamott about
Yeah.
prayer, and it's called Help, Thanks, and Wow. All prayers basically boil down to help, thanks, and wow.
Literally.
Just
Yeah.
like our answers to prayer are
Yes,
yes,
no,
no,
and
and wait.
wait.
We have simplified the prayer life of the world for everybody. You
Yes.
just listen to this podcast.
It's so easy. There's a whole instruction manual. We talk about this all the time in
Yeah.
the book of Matthew, where Jesus says, literally, this is the recipe, and just follow these steps,
Yeah,
and then the answer will come. So
awesome.
yeah.
And
I
the
think it's the book
recipe
of
he gives
Matthew.
us, our Father in heaven, holy is your name.
Yes.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
kingdom come.
Yeah.
Well, we just think that God's part of his kingdom to us
Yeah.
because you've come and decided to jump in and to help us in a need in an area that's just so captivating. So there's even some people that probably will come to church to get a cup of coffee
Yeah.
and then decide to watch in their car because they're not comfortable being around people yet, right? Or that might be the step that makes them, I'm going to come back. Because at least they make a great cup of coffee on Sunday and we can come.
Yeah.
So tell us how your work experience has translated, because you both kind of do that, right? And kind of baristas in some respect. How does that translate into how you serve? And how does it feel? Does it feel different, or does it feel part of kind of like the same thing?
It definitely feels different. I have to be honest. I mean, technically, you could just say I'm doing what I do every day, but I'm not, making a check for it. But honestly, there's something that's so unique about this ministry that's, obviously I'm not working, but I kind of am. But then also, like, I'm serving people and the church in a way. And I don't know what a good answer for this is, but I just have to say that, like,
I would say that it's
it's just so
similar, but
rewarding.
also different because, with coffee, you serve people and you make connection and you talk to people.
Yeah.
You make their cup of coffee. So
And I love
at
doing
work, you're
that.
doing the same thing, but I feel like with here, you have like a closer connection because, people are going into church and they want to get coffee and you have the honor to make them their cup of coffee for the whole service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so I
cool.
think
They bring them in and enjoy their coffee.
Yeah. I hope so. I really don't get a lot of feedback.
So I understand from history that coffee's always kind of had spiritual connotations, maybe because it's got caffeine in it. And so some of the nations that we first served around the world, like Ethiopia and Kenya, are like the birthplaces of where coffee is, at least from African. There's also people like in Nicaragua and Guatemala and Cuba. They're saying no, coffee really came from here.
Right.
They kind of fight over all that, but
Yeah.
there's something about that. How many people are listening to this right now that they've
Maybe.
got to have a cup of coffee right now,
Yep.
or at least part of their day every day?
It's definitely something, like, even in our relationship, we are, I mean, on our days off, we're going to go find a new coffee shop.
Really?
Constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
it
just
really
great
is just like
relationship.
it's ridiculous, but it's something I realize, I connect with people so much over this silly little drink that's
Yeah.
just literally water made from beans. It's
Right.
hilarious. But families gather together over cups of coffee, and, like, I always had coffee with my mom, and my family, and we really just came together in the morning times with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And, it was an act of love. Like, my dad would make it for us from a French press when he woke up in the morning because he was the first one awake.
Mhm.
He'd make sure my mom had her cup of coffee. And then, even just at my job, like, it sounds silly, but, like, just making that cup of coffee for somebody, you don't know how far, it's just a drink, but then just, like, a kind human making that,
Sure.
a kind person making it, like, it really does. Like, I know people's names now.
Mhm.
I know customers' life stories. Some of my best friends, like, they were customers before, or I work with them, and, it's a silly drink, but really, like, so many people come together over this drink,
That's cool.
Definitely.
And so I was like, what better way to do?
She just got me a side gig through coffee with
I
a-
did.
Oh, what does she do?
regular-
What kind of side gig?
Oh, just like videos, photo stuff. I also do that on the side. So I saw this whole thing. It was
Oh,
impressive.
good.
Yeah.
Good deal. Fantastic. Well, maybe we can help you to help us with this.
Oh,
Oh.
That kind
definitely.
of stuff. Photography and various
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that. So that's really cool. If you stop and think about it, how different is it from stopping to wash somebody's feet when they came into your home at Jesus' time, and to bring people a cup of cold water?
Yeah.
And Jesus said, when you bring a cup of cold water in my name, that that God is glorified. And so, what about hot water with coffee in it? Why not, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Even
cool.
people like at my job, they'll ask for hot water to warm up like a baby's bottle. That's a very common request. And I'm like, they always want to pay for it. And I'm just like, don't be silly,
Yeah.
And they're always so grateful. And I'm like, it's just hot water,
Yeah.
like it's no big deal. But
I'd be willing to bet that they come back to your coffee shop because you're willing to show that kind of service for them.
I hope so. I really hope so. That's definitely the goal.
Well, I
So,
think that certainly demonstrates your love of Christ that comes from the heart as well, too, in the service industry. So to me, it was really funny because Brad said, "Hey, I had this great conversation with Baylee and her husband's Jay, and they want to become part of our church, but they can't really come to group or anything like that." And so he said, "I think that she would be interested in being a barista for us and that kind of stuff because we're starting our coffee ministry back." So literally, we went from having coffee ministry with a dedicated group of people, a
Right.
handful of people that had done it for a long period of time, and just kind of helped to resurrect it after COVID.
yeah.
So all of a sudden now, like, there's 7 or 8 different people, and you're having, like, what do you call them? Coffee classes?
Oh, yeah.
What's-
It's
coffee creations.
yes,
Is that the
Coffee
name?
Creations. It's a class that I'll be doing.
And when is that going to be?
It's May 21st.
Okay.
Not May 20th because we kept getting the days mixed up.
Okay, so that's this Saturday as we're recording this.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
We don't know if we'll get published by that good time, but
No, but I'm excited for it. I'm going to be teaching people, so many people come by and get a coffee.
Mhm.
I'm going to be teaching people how to make the coffee that they enjoy.
okay.
And then, there'll be some trivia and different things to just try. And it's hopefully going to be just a fun experience for people to learn a new thing.
Cool.
You don't have to necessarily do anything with it, but I feel like people want to learn new things all the time.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for it. So,
And the more you learn, the more you want to learn too.
exactly.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to make an executive decision right here in the middle of the vodcast or
Okay.
podcast we got. So we're going to create a commercial for this Saturday. So tell everybody what's happening. When does it start? When is it over? And we're going to pull this out and actually use it as part of advertising for this weekend.
I'm excited.
So Coffee Creations this Saturday, May 20th.
yeah,
Right?
you're going to get to hang
21st?
out with me. Yeah.
Not the 21st, but the 20th.
The 21st.
It is the 21st.
Sunday.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, Sunday.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a Saturday.
Not a Saturday.
All right, so I completely messed up the commercial. Okay, on May the 21st, on Sunday, what time?
4:00.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll be leading that class, and you'll get to hang out with me and a couple other people who love coffee, and we'll have treats and just have a good time with everybody. So
You're going to have to make espressos and all kinds of things like
Yeah,
Jay,
yeah.
you going to be there?
I'm not sure yet, but I will try.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If Starbucks doesn't have you practicing your profession, you're going to be with her.
yeah, you'll have 2 baristas.
That's going to be
Yeah,
cool.
but we're excited.
she's the barista. I'm not.
So there's a perfect example, too, of how you can take somebody's gift
Mhm.
and environments that they're good in working in and maximize them, use their giftedness according to the way they can to help benefit the whole church.
It's great. We love it. Love doing it. I think Brad is always where he's like, "Are you gonna get burned out? Are you tired of doing this?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "No, this is what I love doing, and I get so much out of it. So
absolutely.
I love it."
Brad is such a dedicated guy
Oh,
and
yeah.
just a real duty guy. I've discovered over the years that so he was a Navy guy and he was a U.S. postal worker
I
before he
didn't
became
know that.
called ministry.
Uh,
Yeah, he was in the Navy. And so I found that people that are veterans tend to be some of your most committed and loyal volunteers
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
they've learned you get up, you do your duty,
Yeah.
you move forward.
No
And
excuses.
so I'm just going to recruit too as well. If you're a veteran out there, we know you like to do your part, that kind of stuff. We want you to join in, whether it's coffee
Right.
or cleaning bathrooms or,
Yeah.
or whatever it is that we happen to
We're
do.
grateful.
So tell us something about your spiritual journey, about, kind of how you came to discover Christ and make him your own.
We actually have a pretty interesting one.
Please do.
Oh yeah. Well, for me, I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
And I'm still in the Catholic Church.
Okay. We love our
But-
Catholic brothers and sisters. in Christ.
Right. But I wasn't gonna, check out like other denominations. But I being married to her, she's my wife, and she needs to find a church. And just one day, she just invited me to church, and I was like, I don't see why not,
Yeah.
And so I went, and to be honest, I mean, it was awesome. I love seeing different things or like different churches just worship God and the way it works
Mhm.
and all that stuff.
And there are different
So,
ways to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
to me, I see it as like it offer different things to the table
Mm-hmm.
in my faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I go to Catholic church at 9 a.m. service in the morning. Um, I also have to take my mom because she doesn't drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're honoring your parents and their faith tradition and yours that
Yeah,
you grew up
and
in.
not just like the main reason, but yeah,
Understand.
I go there and then I joined the church service at the point at 11. So that's why I show up to the 11 o'clock service.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go from bells and smells to rock and roll.
Yes.
Literally.
and I both things are great.
Absolutely, they are.
Yeah.
They really are. I have some people that are just such close friends. Since we're near Belmont Abbey, which is
Yeah.
the largest Catholic institution south of the Mason-Dixon line in America.
Yeah.
Right.
So I understand. Just a
I have
fantastic.
cousin that graduated from
Absolutely. And Father Placid Solari and the whole community of monks that are there are people that definitely build into the community of who we are here. And we're so grateful for what they do and make. So where do you attend Catholic church with your mom?
there. St. Patrick,
Okay.
Dilworth.
Okay. In
Yeah.
Dilworth.
Right.
Yeah.
20 minutes drive.
Fantastic.
But I'm not sure why, but we just kind of have like a connection with
Mhm.
the people at the church there because most of our group of people was called the Montagnard people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are
Absolutely.
familiar. Yeah.
For the
So
month.
so we have like some kind of special connection with that church. So we all just go there.
Sure.
And we do have
Big-
our smaller community. So whenever we have a priest that from our hometown in Vietnam that would come over to visit, then we would have our own little service going on every Sunday. Yeah.
I'm sure there was some kind of connection between the transition from Vietnam to here and the
Oh, yeah.
involvement of the Catholic Church to help
Yeah.
make that possible for you. I think that's cool. So
And-
correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody's told me that the Montagnard people are really good at trimming trees and doing stuff like that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So they're really good at the whole process of making sure that trees are preserved, but climbing them, scaling them, making sure they're trimmed in safe kind of ways.
I mean, there are like different groups of
Sure.
yard.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
this group might be good at this.
Yeah.
You know,
Y'all are good
that's
at
what-
coffee.
I
It's like
know.
the coffee group.
They go to Starbucks. That's
Oh,
they don't know anything.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. We're so grateful that just the culture that you share with us and those kind of things. So how about you? You said you had quite a story yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up in the church, and I grew up in a Baptist church, and my mom is like, she's the biggest role model I have in my life for my faith. And growing up, it was really more of like a place for community and to meet other people that were, similar minded. And then we really stopped going to this particular church around 2016 because there's just some stuff that
Drama.
happened. It was a lot of drama, and so we just were like, you know what, we're just gonna stop. But then, my mom was always looking for a new church, but we really never found something that we connected with. And then my mom ended up, my whole family actually ended up moving up to Virginia and took over my grandparents' property after they passed away.
Okay.
They're plugged into a church now, which is great. But I really, after being moved out,
Is
for
that
so
still in
long-
Lynchburg?
That's in Appomattox.
Appomattox, okay.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
30
absolutely.
minutes. Okay, cool.
I know
Nobody knows what I'm
Appomattox is.
talking about.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Sure.
But being moved out, I really lacked a lot of discipline in my spiritual life, and it just was kind of like, I always knew that God was real and that He was there, and like sometimes I'd pray to Him. But I think meeting Him and being married to Him, even though we don't completely align in everything that we do, He really had. I don't want to.
We kind of just help each other out.
We really have.
We
It's
meet
really
in the
been a
middle,
mutual
and-
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, where we just kind of pull each other into, reading the Bible and praying, and we talk about God,
Mhm.
every day. And then I joined this church here, and it's just like every day, we're talking about God, we're talking about.
Every time we have a road trip, that's
Yeah.
when the
We don't
best
even listen to
conversations
music
happen.
anymore.
Yeah.
We're talking the whole time.
Yeah, what's God doing? What's God saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. What's going
Wow.
on
And
with the world?
we
every
see
day.
what's going we see what's going on in the world, and we're just like, wow, like seeing how we read the Bible, and we just see how the Bible applies to today.
Yeah.
It's just, so it's been a journey. I went from really being a lukewarm Christian to just being completely on fire for God. So but it's awesome.
It's
I
cool.
love it. It's so much fun. It's wonderful. doesn't come without its challenges, but it's great.
Sure. But you've come through two different lenses of faith
Yeah.
about the same subject in
Oh
history.
my gosh, yeah.
And he's our savior. But by the same token, you've got different traditions, and there you can learn
Yeah.
and grow from one another in that. What a great thing.
Absolutely.
I used to be super confused about Catholicism too. Like I used to be pretty like I'll just be honest, like I was pretty hard-hearted about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this past year in particular, the more that I learn and the more that I ask him questions, the more I'm like, okay, maybe I still don't agree with everything, but just hearing what he has to say, I'm like, I can hear him out, and I realized I felt pretty convicted.
Yeah.
So it's just something you learn more and more every day.
That's cool. So when's the last road trip you've had where you had a long conversation? Where'd you go?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
We drove up there.
Up to my parents.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Mother's Day. We went to go see my
Fantastic.
family. And on the way up there, we were talking, and on the way back, we were talking.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good. So it's her family and your family kind of, they're trying to figure you out, and your family's trying to figure her out, and
It's
that kind of
funny.
stuff, right? It's kind of like, is this okay? Or is it going to be okay that they love each other, right?
Well, I think we were more worried about it than they ever were.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my family, like my brother is 16. He just is like, this is my brother now.
Awesome.
Doesn't matter. My parents were like, this is our son.
What's your brother's name?
Charlie.
So Charlie,
Yeah.
Jay's my brother now.
Yeah,
Jay and Charlie.
yeah, he just was like nothing. It didn't really matter. And then like I live with his family. We all live together, and I've never received anything but kindness from his parents. And
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah,
We learned so much.
oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
We teach each other things that we didn't know before.
Yeah.
And
communication.
just the
Mhm.
differences and all that stuff.
There's so many things that I've learned from him. So many things that he's learned from me. It's just insane.
Well, that takes a dose of humility on both of your
yeah.
parts,
Oh yeah.
because you got to be willing to say, this person has something to teach me.
Yeah.
And when you have that humility toward one another,
Yeah.
then everything gets better.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But let's be honest. Typically, in most marital relationships, a lot of time it's a power fight
Oh
about
yeah.
who's right and where this is going to be spent or where that's going to be spent or what we're going to do and what we're not going to do.
Yep.
And instead of, can we make a we decision rather than just a me versus you decision?
Yeah.
Right.
That was our first year of
So
it,
these are
honestly.
goals. Yeah. So,
We argued so bad. It was really hard.
Going
yeah.
like, we have to make the car payment with that. What are you doing? buying that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
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 Something happens in every marriage.
Oh yeah.
And typically in every marriage, I don't know if yours is like this. There's usually Dave Ramsey, the great financial expert, says that there's a spendthrift and then there's a nerd.
Oh.
There's somebody that's like just spends and spends, and the nerd's going like, "What are you doing? We only have so much money." Is that true
I
for
feel
both
like
of you?
Second son the nerd.
You're the nerd, okay?
The both. I feel like I'm definitely both. I'm like I should be spending this, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That's funny.
still have a lot to learn.
Well, we all have a lot to learn as far as I think that's what else is interesting about finances. It's a conversation you need to have all the time. Because instead of just getting into a rut, because while you're just getting started and you are young,
yeah,
before you
Oh my
know it,
gosh.
you're gonna be 10 years down the road, and
Yeah.
if you save for this or you're building wealth and that kind of stuff and making
Right.
good
Oh, yeah.
decisions. But you get to make those decisions together.
right, yeah.
That's what's really cool.
Can't believe it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you first met at which restaurant?
It's called Bocce.
Bocce. Okay.
Check them out.
You should check them out. They
Okay.
have amazing food. It's Filipino food. There's hibachi there
Okay.
and sushi.
Okay.
So they just do all kinds of good things. And they're just the most awesome family. I mean, we've done weddings together. We've done funerals together. Like,
We kind of built a relationship with the
Wow.
family, the restaurant. Yeah.
just really appreciate them,
So it's not just a place to work and get a paycheck.
Yeah.
Bocce, sushi, hibachi. There's ease and all that stuff.
Lots of ease.
That's a lot of ease.
But there's lots of love that's coming between you because you built
Oh,
those kinds of
yeah.
relationships and communities.
Oh, yeah.
It's so different these days too. Plus, since we have the world in our hand and a phone, you can be talking to somebody in Vietnam a minute from now, right? Or
Oh,
30 seconds from now.
Definitely. You can send money and it'll be there in 5 minutes.
Awesome.
And the world is flat. Thomas Friedman, I said, was the first person that wrote that.
Yeah.
It's no longer all these barriers between us.
Yeah.
But you've removed a lot of those barriers intentionally between one
Oh, yeah.
another,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Sure.
Is there any kind of verse in your life or something that you've read recently that's impacted you from Scripture that really you're thinking about right now? Maybe you had your last God talk about it between here and Appomattox.
It's funny. I actually have it tattooed right.
Okay, what is it?
Romans 8:28.
Okay.
You know, all those like good things that work for those who love the Lord. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering.
That's okay.
But you
That's
know,
cool.
that's been a verse that's been in my
You might
family.
need to take a better picture of that too, so we can zoom in on the camera with it.
You said it's wrong. Please let me know. It's really embarrassing.
We got it. We understand.
But yeah, I mean, it was just a verse that has always been in, you know, in my family in particular. And you know, my grandfather, you know, he's my adopted grandfather. You know, my parents had divorced,
Mm.
and you know, he was the grandfather that just chose to love me and my sister. And he, during my mom's divorce, it was really strenuous and really hard, and he would send her scripture, and it was Romans 8:28, and that was the same scripture that my mom's mom would share with her. And you know, it's always been there. You know, that particular verse has just always been in everybody's life. And so that's why I got this tattoo, because it's in my family and it's staying here.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah.
That's cool. I love that verse because it says all things work together for good
Yes.
to those who love God
Yeah.
and are called according to his purpose.
Right.
You know, sometimes people leave the second part out. All things work together for good.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. You know,
Right.
there's those conditions that are applied to it. If we have a love for God and then we're called according to his purpose.
Yeah.
And I believe you're called as much to be somebody at Starbucks and at
Undercurrent.
coffee shops as I am to be at the Point Church.
Right.
And then you're called together to be part of our body, which
Right.
also means I might be called. I need to go to Undercurrent and Bati and places like that too. You guys asked me to go there because you've introduced me to those places.
Is this?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
How about for you? Is there anything spiritual principle or anything that you think about or something that it really stands out to you? Maybe the last thing you talked about in the car on the way.
We just talk about hot topics in the
Yeah.
car, and
Yeah.
you know, we just
We're
we just
really in the
can't
book of
understand
Revelations a lot.
the
Okay.
reasons why
Yeah.
like people do what they do. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like I don't know. I don't really have anything like that, but every time we have a conversation, it's always something that's related to our faith.
Yeah.
And like the Bible.
Faith applied to life.
Right,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Um, but we really do talk a lot about revelations in particular and biblical prophecies.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that we're
Yeah.
really interested in, and we discuss it. And I think we're really interested in it because in the way that things are today, you can really, really see things being like
Coming
put
together.
Yeah, it's insane. And you know, that's a whole other topic for another time.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing watching, these people died 2,000 years ago, and everything that they said is happening, and it has happened. We have the advantage of looking back in history.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't. And so just watching that, we talk about it all the time. I mean, literally, we're talking about it all the time.
Yeah.
anytime we have a
Ridiculous.
chance.
Somebody said that those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And so we repeat it in our own way, in our own time.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm a big history nerd, so.
So what's your favorite era of history?
I really American history is
Okay.
like my favorite, but specifically, I really always enjoyed World War II.
Okay.
This is the nerdiest thing I've said.
No, that's okay.
But that, and also I really do love art history,
Mhm.
and the Renaissance is really
Yeah.
cool to me as well. So all of that stuff, all history is very interesting to me. But my grandfather really, I think he kind of like sparked that love because he was a huge history
Cool.
buff as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah, love it.
So any subject, something like that, that's something you love as well.
I'm not a history person. I
Okay.
mean, I like myths and stuff that
Yeah,
like growing up,
mythology
your
stuff. Okay.
parents tell you and grandparents tell you. But for me, I feel like I'm just more of like I love technologies and
Yeah.
all that stuff. I
Yeah.
know it's not good for humans, but
Well,
I just think
it
it's
can be.
it can
right?
be.
I think technology is amoral, which means it can be used for really good purposes or really bad purposes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there is spirituality in technology all the time. I mean, think about the whole debate right now is kind of like, is AI going to take over?
Oh my gosh, she's
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about that all the time.
You know, and
Definitely.
is that going to happen? So, we did an experiment, Brent and I did last week. I actually signed on, and he said, write a song, a Christian song that
Oh,
wrote
yeah.
one out in a few minutes, and so I did this thing with staff, and I actually signed on for Chat GPT for a week or two for a membership. And I said, write a devotion that Ray McKay Hardy would write. Because I've written devotions that I posted on Facebook and various places on the internet.
Yeah.
And so it goes through and it picks out some general themes, and it wrote down like this 10-point devotional. And it said, although don't have Ray McKay's Hardy's voice, but these are the kind of things he talks about, essentially what I said. So I sent it to staff and I said, do you think I wrote this, or do you think I did not write this? And so they were going like, you definitely did not write that because the humanity did not come through, even though there were major themes that I talked about.
There's just something missing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's that whole kind of thing. Is AI going to take over, and is AI going to have a soul and all that kind of stuff?
There's a lot of stuff about it. I think like they did one experiment where AI had to make a certain ethical decision, and it chose the unethical decision. And so a lot of people were intrigued by it because they said, you know, just from this experiment alone, and I don't know what experiment it was, like I don't remember off the top of my head, but you could see that AI saw the problem, made a decision based off of the different possible outcomes, and then executed that decision.
Right.
And so that shows that AI has problem solving skills now.
Right.
And that just like, it really blew my mind because I was like, I don't know what this could look like for the future, but you know, as long as we keep it for good, you know.
So have you ever done that experiment at some point? There's like 7 people in the boat and only 5 can stay.
Yeah.
You know, and they give the characteristics of a different person in the boat. That would be the kind of experiment that AI would have something to say about. Well, they're too old, or they're too sick, or they're too young, or they're too whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or not generative. And it is interesting. Just logic wants to come and make those decisions.
Right.
But there is a soul. And there's something that's totally different when we have souls and not just brains. And
right. It's unique to humans and humanity. You know, you can't replace what a soul is.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what you do. You have to have one.
Wow. Such good conversations. It's great to see how you interacted with one another around things that you love, and that God is using those conversations to draw you closer together to one another and then also closer to Him.
Right.
It's really cool.
Amazing.
Well, thanks again for joining us today for the Next Step podcast. I want to give you one more thing before we go, and you can both answer, you know, together or look at each other. A lot of times when you ask people who are married, they look and say, what should we say, right? So let me just throw out some kind of hot seat questions here. Pizza or sushi?
Sushi.
Okay, they both came to that perfectly. Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
That's very
Where'd you get married in the mountains?
In Blowing Rock
County, Blowing Rock area.
Cool.
We got married on
Price Lake?
Price's Lake. And then that's like right down from Rough Ridge. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's a hiking trail. But we actually eloped, and that's where we ended up. So his ring actually has the mountains engraved on it. So.
Oh, nice. Fantastic. How cool is that?
Pretty insane.
Network television or cable television?
Network.
Network, okay.
Network,
All right. YouTube or an AI experiment?
Definitely YouTube.
Okay. Have you done an AI experiment yet?
No.
You played with that yet? Okay.
No, I'm like, I don't know enough about it to really like delve into it. So I have to
want to dive into the mouth of the beast. Right?
Figure this out first before I like.
Okay.
Try
in trouble.
Yeah.
So
something.
Day or night?
Day.
Yeah.
We used to be night. Now we act like old people.
I know. Old people. I love it.
22.
At 22, we were like, we don't want to go out. It's like past 9 p.m. Like, what's the point?
That's funny. Coffee bar or alcohol bar?
Coffee.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Interesting.
Alcohol.
I thought that might go that way.
We don't
Occasionally.
really. Yeah. I mean, we did when we were younger, but not all anymore.
We're still young.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're still young. Yeah.
Steak or chicken?
Steak.
Oh, he's about to say chicken. Oh.
They're both good.
Yeah.
If I could choose both, I'd do both.
Steak and chicken. There you go. You hibachi and get a little bit of both.
Yeah, steak and chicken.
That's really cool. Vacationing in country or outside the country?
Outside the country.
So much to learn.
Fantastic. Plane trips or cruise trips? Cruises.
Yeah.
Cruise just we've never done a cruise trip.
He doesn't like the
boat
space and the
yeah. Plus, people's vacation looks very different from my vacation. So while people want to like have fun and go crazy, I'm like, I just want to be relaxing,
chill out and relax.
Yeah. I can't expect people to relax the way I do. So yeah,
that's cool. Trump or Biden? No, That's hot potato both ways in there. Oh, well. But what unites us is that Jesus Christ unites us. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us and your heart with us. And this is going to go out to the people that are part of our church and others that are around the world that are interested in stories that are just like this.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for being here. It's my pleasure. And we'll see you next time for the next edition of the Next Step Podcast. Thanks again, Jay and Baylee.
Thank you.
Thank you.